Okay, we're back with summer programming updates. So our last video that we did was week 3, I believe, of summer programming, and now we are on week 6. So yeah, I was completely destroyed with the beginning of the summer programming with shock, like how crazy it was, how much work really goes into a full day's programming, and how much OT and speech and things like that just factor in, naturally throughout our daily process, and how we navigate that. So these were some of the troubles that we came across, and we've had some scheduling conflicts, things like that, just with our hours, but we're able to navigate that pretty easily now. And now that we know kind of how everything is working with our flexible schedule and what was working and what didn't work beforehand, now we have like a little, like we're on cruise control. Like we have a good thing going. When there are different things that pop up, like special events that we want to go to, adding those things into our busy schedule is kind of like when you would throw in like a play at the middle school or something where you weren't really planning for it, but maybe you only had a day or two's notice, but because it's a change in the schedule, we usually have a different kind of a day. A little bit more behaviors when there's a change or something non-preferred, whatever. Something else that we're able to do now is that, since most summer things are in full swing, we have friends that we meet up with on Mondays and sometimes Thursdays when we go to the farmer's market, or yesterday we went to Francis Slocum and we did a hike, and so we don't have to do all of these things alone. We can definitely, work on socialization and communication skills and things like that aren't every week the same thing, like at the grocery store or whatever. You create these natural environment, things, and that's what we work on. So, when somebody asks my son what their name is and he says something completely random, it's like an opportunity to work on his communication skills. So there's a lot that we have accomplished. One, if I don't do another dish for the rest of my life, I'm okay. He has tried over 20 new foods, and he's liked most of them. Now, he gags each time, so if you're watching the videos, just because it's just a textural thing. But because he's not just trying a new food, we're not just presenting a new food. We are doing executive functioning by making the schedule at the beginning of the day, and then we also create the grocery list for, like, say it's on Tuesday, we go to the grocery store. We typically avoid Tuesdays, but regardless, we go to the grocery store, we make a plan, and then we bring those groceries home, we unload them, we put them away. I had no idea that my son had no idea where anything was in our house. So how can I expect him to do these things if he has no idea where anything is? So it's just something that I've never taken the time to make sure he knew where the can opener was, or tinfoil, go get the tinfoil. It's like, where is it? It's like, well, it's a good thing you asked. But so we go to the grocery store, we do all those things, and that grocery store visit is usually super chaotic. We don't do self-checkout anymore, I can tell you that. He doesn't understand that it has to be put inside the bag, and like they have to register it before he scans the next item, and it just causes the biggest cluster. So we try to work on all sorts of different things while we're there. But so then we get all the things out to make this thing, whatever it is that we're going to make. And so then we cook it. We work with all the safety skills with wearing gloves and, don't go too close to the oven. He's not allowed to touch the stovetop anymore. We already went through that. No safety skills happening here. We are working with, he just doesn't get that yet. So, and even we're working with the knives, and we're using small paring knives because he cuts his own strawberries. So if you use the kid-friendly safe ones, they're not sharp enough. They typically just decimate the strawberry, and that's his main food. So we use a paring knife because that's the end goal. And usually, if we start with what we want the end goal to be for him, we're like back channeling it or whatever. Like that's working for us. But yesterday we did a garlic scape pesto. We got the garlic scapes at the farmer's market the Thursday before. They went to the grocery store that morning and got the pine nuts and whatever. So instead of using a paring knife, which is what we've been using for strawberries, I was like, oh, it's like really bothering me that he's like almost cutting off his fingers. Like that's kind of not a good idea. However, the other knives aren't working, and he still hasn't, knock on wood, I'm going to do that now. But, so I was like, well, what if we use the pizza cutters and he could do this? He gets just as close with that thing, and it's just, I was like, every time I'm like, but he's doing it, and the more he does it, our biggest thing for, accidents is if you're not paying attention and if you're going too fast. So, but for my son in particular, he's a very big, he gets you up here. So it's like, oh, don't go too fast. And as he's just, it's like, well, what if I do? And it's like, well, I cut your finger off. What if I cut my finger? It's just, it's a never ending script for him just to go through that with any situation. So it's never just, okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Like, no, it's never that. So, but the whole idea is that after we make these things and we go through all these other skills that and that's only a handful of them that I just mentioned, he's trying all these new foods. And it's like, who is this kid? Who is this kid? So he had today a full sandwich of a peanut butter and jelly. He calls it jellyfish jelly, by the way. So it's not just jelly, it's jellyfish jelly. So you're having a jellyfish jelly sandwich, which is a mouthful to say. But, it's like we're going on vacation next week. It would be really cool if we didn't have to stop at McDonald's or find somewhere to get a grilled cheese, like for every little second. If we could go on a picnic and just take a grilled, a PB&J, that would be fantastic. So, so he's tried all these new foods. Let me tell you, again, the dishes that come with all this stuff. So I've done 15,000 loads of dishes. We're not here this often normally as a family. I'm not expecting this. And then I haven't, I gotta find my watch and charge it so I can figure out my steps. But holy shnikes, I have a small house. And us walking back and forth, because we do most of his stuff at the dining room table, because he kind of sits while he does it and we have to maneuver around him. And again, small house. So all of us in the kitchen, not necessarily our best, bet, but we can all be around the table and the kitchen in between. It works out. But I have to say, last week, by the time it got to Friday, because it's Monday through Friday, Monday and Friday we have full days, and then the 3 days in the middle we have half days. So we try to do a lot more on our full days, obviously, but because we make a new food and we try a new food every day of the week, because one, I have all this stuff in the house that I'm trying to use, right? We're going to the grocery store, so we're getting the recipes, we're making things. Dinner, we're going to make our dinner. Like, we're not just like randomly making stuff. We are, but in the morning on Friday, as I was walking back and forth, it was like my regular walk. As the day got on, my walking back and forth, it started going really slow. And then I started to like hunch over and I was just like shuffling along. And I was like, if I don't make something for the next year, I'd be happy. But I can't stop because he's trying all these new foods. We have that Deceptively Delicious cookbook from Jerry Seinfeld's wife. Well, I was looking at the recipes and we got all the stuff and he starts eating raw carrots and it's like, I don't have to puree those and hide them in his stuff. If he's going to eat them, that's awesome. So because we're trying all this stuff, and even though it's still exhausting, it's not as mentally exhausting as it was in the beginning. It's just as physically exhausting. But now that the heat's here, we're doing anything physical like super early in the morning. So like hiking at Francis Slocum yesterday, that was super nice. And we're just doing the accommodations. The garden is not working out for the kids. It's just, they're not interested. They don't know what they're doing. They don't care about it. So, I mean, at this point, the garden's a wash this year. It's for me now, not for the kids. But the watering was still taking place. So regardless, this is all working. it's not sustainable in a regular schedule. It's definitely not something that I recommend without a lot of support and a lot of preparation work, and just you have to have complete and total flexibility, or else it just isn't going to work. So with that in mind, it is working. A lot of surprises, a lot of fun things, and we're going to keep pushing. We go on vacation soon, but when we come back from vacation, we're going to take it up a notch. So we got all that stuff ready today. We're going to introduce it the rest of this week, and then when we come back from our small vacation, we're going to just take it to that next step. So there'll be another video for that. So Summer Chronicles Part 2. So we did 3 weeks. This is 6 weeks. So maybe we'll do a 9-week one. That seems to be on par. So we'll do that, and we'll keep you posted. Bye.